Hello everyone, welcome to NLG Energy University Level 2 online class. My name is Isabella and I will be your instructor for today. Okay, so I think everyone can hear me nice and clear, which is good. So let's start this Level 2 by just reminding everyone a little bit that Level 2 only consists of one session. So it's going to be today, and we will have one energy activation. Throughout this class, I will walk you through, of course, the class content. We will talk and discuss, different topics. Basically, an expansion of the topics that we've already discussed in level 1, but in more depth. And also, it's just a reminder, once again, to adhere to the core elements of NLG. And then we'll talk about the formulas, so that you understand how to implement them. And of course, then we have the energy activation. So it is really important to stay throughout the entire class. We only have one session for level 2. So it's really important that, of course, you devote your time to really attend this class fully. And if you have any question, this is your time to ask. So make sure that you pop your question in the chat box of this live stream. If I miss out on any of it, make sure that you continue to post your question, because sometimes when I, discuss these topics and really getting into these topics in more depth, then I might have missed your question in the chat box. And so make sure that you continue to post your questions on here if you have any. And also, after this class, after this class finish, then half an hour later, Mr. Lei will transmit the daily healing energy. And so for that reason, I would not transmit energy during this, healing energy, that is, during this session to you, as I understand that a lot of you would like to receive that special energy from Mr. Lei. And so I'll just leave you to that. And also, don't forget to subscribe and like and follow our Facebook and YouTube. That is actually one of the best way for you to receive notification, announcements, class events, etc. And also, I will show you the QR code for our level 1 and 2 English class later on. And it is really important that you scan those codes. Just use your camera app in your phone, and then you can scan it, and it will lead you to Telegram, where, of course, we will share the formulas on there. And it's really important that once you complete a class level, that you really exploring these formulas, really practice them. And if you need any support, let us know so that we can help you along the way. Okay. Now I might just spend a few minutes just wondering if anyone has any questions. So far, so good. I don't see any question here yet. But if you have any, make sure that you pop them into the chat box. Now, some people, ask that if they have not been practicing the level 1 formulas for the past week, can they participate in this level 2? The answer to that is yes. So, because you've already completed level 1, and by that we mean you should have received 2 energy activation from level 1. Remember that we have 2 energy activations, so it is really important. It's actually required for you to receive both of them before you continue with level 2. So if you got that done and now you're here for level 2, that's excellent. If you have not been practicing, our advice is that as I've said in level 1, this really is your own journey. And once you get activated, the rest of the work really depends on you. So whether you practice, whether you don't practice, that's really up to you, but it's certainly much better. And, the whole point of learning this method is that so you can practice. So it's really to do with your own benefits, that you do that at your own pace. And of course, energy is a practice-based method. So if you don't practice, then it may not be very beneficial at all. And, receiving healing support from another energy participant only lasts for 24 hours. And so that's why we're highly encouraged that everyone should be an energy participant, really actively contributing to your own learning and your own practice of the method so that you can get the most out of this method. And also note that when you rewatch our video, class video, you can certainly deepen your understanding of the practice. So you revise the content that we've already discussed, but you cannot receive the energy activation when you rewatch a video, because of course that doesn't happen in real time. So in other words, if it's not a live stream, and if you're just rewatching it afterwards, then of course I'm not going to be there. None of the instructors going to be there to activate you during that time. And so when it comes to energy activation of different class levels, it's really important that you're watching the class as a live stream when it's happened in real time, rather than rewatching it afterwards. And that's also very important if you have friends or family who would like to learn energy, and that's really important as well, to let them know that that is the case. And it's not just as simple as rewatching the class videos and then receiving the energy activation from there, or thinking that you can get the energy activation from there. So that's something to really be mindful of. Now, some people say that they feel very sleepy, after completing level 1, or maybe during their practice of the formulas, or during the energy activation. Now, really try to work on that. I know that it might be a little bit difficult, just like how you try to focus. And some of you might find it a little bit difficult when you open your eyes and still look at different things, hearing different things, and mentally try to focus. Understand that, but that is a techniques of energy that we would like for you to refine as you go and ultimately master it, so that you can keep yourself in a state where you're in full control of everything that's happening inside you, while you're aware of things are happening around you, but certainly can still maintain that focus. And so it's very much like that. So when you feel sleepy, and there are reasons as to why you might feel like that, it is the cells in your body lacking in energy, and so when they get to interact and receive this energy, then it puts them into this really relaxing states. And so that's why they make you feel more sleepy. And particularly for many people, it is during the energy activation, and they reported to us that they don't want to fall asleep, but they don't know how and they don't know why. It just happened. And so in those cases, really trying to work on that. And that is the that is the only thing that we can say. And it's really is to do with the effort that you put in. Right. So and it's that same thing when it comes to learner focus as well. Now, of course, this is a very honest learning process for all of us. It is not so that you have to do something or force yourself to do something just so that you can report it back to us, or when we ask that you can give us the answer that we want. It's not about that, but it's more so about when you come into these classes and you practice for yourself, you understand how to monitor your own progress when it comes to this. And if you have any question, make sure that you ask the question and get everything clarified. It is not so that we would go around and try to supervise you on your own practice. It's really is you supervising yourself. And as I've already said many times, is that after we activate you, we give you the formulas. It's really up to you to practice, and the ways in which you practice it really depends on you as well. After we've given you all of the information, to not improvise, to not change any of the wording in the formulas, and to, of course, always follow the instructions and make sure that you understand the instruction as well. And it's always a lot better that if you have any question, you ask ahead and really discussing it so that you understand everything very clearly, so that you don't have to assume. So there's no, oh, I think that, or I assume that, or things like that. So it's really important that you come in to energy with a high level of clarity in terms of what it is that you're asked to do, when it comes to your own practice, so that you can get the most out of NLG. Now, some people also said that when it comes to the warmth that we've discussed when you practice, you're supposed to feel that warmth from the energy. Now, some people feel it immediately. Other people may need a few try to get there. So it's all to do with your focus. And then other people just don't feel anything at all. And so is that bad, or is that, does that mean that they don't get the energy? But the thing is, when you don't feel that warmth, there's a few reasons as to why that may happen. So one of the first reasons is that maybe your sensor system has been damaged somehow, along the way, whether you have an illness or like a previous condition or something like that, or you're just not that sensitive to, this, to feeling this energy. And so if you don't feel warmth at all, then the thing that you can look for is your health improvement. So if you have a condition, then you might want to look for any transformation that you're making when you practice or as you keep practicing. And then I guess for maybe younger people, when you come in, not because of an illness, then there are things in your daily routine that maybe when it comes to your sleep or your appetite, or it just in the way that you, your everyday life, that you may notice that there are differences. Things become easier, quicker for you to handle, for you to, work with them or something like that. Or, just having, better ideas when it comes to work, when it comes to the things that you want to do. Or it could also to do with your temperament. So it could be that you are a very hot-headed person or something like that. And now as you continue to practice, you have this ability to control your emotion a lot better, and you views everything in a more loving way. And so those sort of things, so any of the changes that you experience, and this really differs between people. And so those are some of the things that you want to look for if you really don't feel that warmth that we've been discussing about. Now, for some of you, when you first started, you might feel quite hot actually when you practice. Now, this indicates that there's a lacking in energy. And so what you do is that you keep practicing so that your energy level gradually match up with the current class level, the energy activation that you've received. And from there, you will notice that there's a transition. So it could be that at first it was very hot, and then it's slightly warm, and then it's a little bit cool. Not cold, but cool. So that's very different. It's sort of like, one of those, sometimes it feels like you're just like that you're in a pool, and it's very cool, but it's a very comfortable feeling. It's not cold to the point where you shiver or anything like that. So there should be a distinction. And when that happens, when it goes from hot to warm and then to cool, you know that there's a very good transition that you're making in terms of your state of health. So for example, if initially you feel very hot and you think that, oh, okay, so I'm feeling this energy very well, it's very apparent. And then later on, if you just feel slightly warm, don't be disappointed. A lot of people think that by feeling that difference, that perhaps they don't receive as much energy. That's not right. That's not correct. It means that you're improving. Okay, so when it comes to any changes, as I've said, don't assume. It's better to ask. And of course, we have our Telegram groups. So if you have any question, make sure that you reach out to us. Okay, so those are, I guess, some of the commonly asked questions. Right, and I don't see any question here from anyone. So I guess I will just continue on with the content. Now, the content of level 2 is very similar to that of level 1. We will certainly talk a little bit more in depth about some of the points that we've already discussed, and I'll give you some examples as well that's very much related to our daily life so that we can all, I guess, understand it easier. You, of course, will receive the level 2 formulas. I'll walk you through that. We will practice one of the formulas together so that you understand the pace of how to practice it. And then afterwards, of course, we'll get our energy activation of level 2. All right, so let me just share my screen now. So we've already talked about these logos of NLG. So let's just recap a little bit. Now remember that the cosmic divine light logo over here on the left-hand side, that represents love and the light that embraces all being. As you get to level 3, Mr. Lee will walk you through, of course, how it comes to this this version. As before, there were I guess, variety of this logo, and that marks the process of when Mr. Lei tried to decode, the energy source within, from one period of time to the next. And of course, this provides us with the lessons that we need. It provides us with knowledge and wisdom for all of us to utilize. And from there, we get to live a better life because it enables different projects that are available here at the NLG Energy University, enable great benefits for us to create materials, abundance in everything that we need to maintain a good life. And when we have this wisdom, this energy, and then we can turn them into projects that we can see, that we can use, then we're able to support and build a loving home. And each of us, if we continue to live in a loving home and continue to build our own loving home, then of course in our society, we'll be able to have many families and many people who basically have the same goals, and people understand of how and why that they should be maintaining these loving homes. And as a community, then will turn into, of course, a more loving and caring society. So the loving home logo on the right-hand side here points to the possibility of having just that, so having that genuine connection and love and respect. And for a home to be truly a home, and by that I mean, of course, there are, and this once again leads back to the second forms of love, which we will discuss a little bit later on. That is the love of family, but a lot of the time we don't perhaps think enough about this topic of the home, of the family, and of the connection that we're supposed to have. And there are different reasons as to why we a lot of the time even see our loved ones or our own family as something that perhaps we don't connect to properly. And we never think about why that might happen. And so, of course, for that topic, Mr. Lay, and there's a really interesting one that Mr. Lay will talk about in level 3 if you have the chance to participate in level 3. But at this stage, we introduce you to this idea so that you can have a think about it. And as you get to level 3, of course, we get to understand about it more from an energy perspective. And with all of these enabled, then of course, gradually we'll find the techniques to live and build an ascended civilization. And an ascended civilization, it's where we live with genuine gratitude and we have peace for everyone. Because as we know that we cannot live a life without any discipline, without any rules or direction, we all need to have, I guess, guidance when it comes to living our life, or else the ways in which that we interpret things, that we even understand about, perhaps the ideas of the 5 forms of love may not be correct. And from there, because we don't have the correct understanding of what it is, and that could lead to behaviors in which that's not very beneficial for yourself as well as for other people. It's very much like living in a country. Of course, you need to have rules. Of course, you need to have regulations, and they're supposed to protect and to prevent, minimize any of the risk that could happen to an individuals as well as individuals in a community, and to enable safety for everyone. Now, when we harness this energy from the cosmic divine light, remember that this is for everyone. And this is what we need to head towards an ascended civilization. And of course, you need to follow the formulas as you provide. Please don't change it, as you are only, in your foundation level. And as you continue to learn energy, you know that there needs to be great disciplines in the ways that you understand things, as well as how you apply it. It's not that I learn one thing and I'm supposed to know a million things. It's about, being humble along the way and continue to ask lots of questions to extend your knowledge, to extend your understanding. Particularly at level 1 and 2, you might hear us repeat quite a lot of these, I guess, topics. But it's really, really important that at this level that you understand, exactly what is asked of you when you come into this method. And our point is just to present you with all of the information that you need for you to thrive in this method. Right. Now, of course, when we talk about the 3 dilemmas, 3 challenges for humanity, and we don't ask you to have to think about this in a larger scale perspective, because a lot of the time when we try to discuss those things, then we unconsciously forget about our own problem that relates to these 3 challenges. And remember that in order to resolve these 3 issues, the only way and the way that we're presenting to you here when you come to NLG is that you need to maintain and practice the 5 forms of love and morality in order to, tackle and taking that, those baby steps to really tackle these 3 problems. And also remember that when it comes to these 3 issues, wars and conflicts, it's not just about what's happening around the world, but it's also about what's happening within you, the thoughts that you have that you don't know, that could be negative, that could be very toxic for yourself, the things that you might think about other people, which is not true. So that also creates conflicts as well. And it makes you doubts things. It makes you doubt everyone and really question their intention. And then from there, you try to justify as to why you behave in a certain way. It is because I do not trust this person. It is because this person did this. So then I feel the need, or, I think that I have the rights to take revenge, to retaliate. Now, those things, even though I guess in our society nowadays, we really try to justify ourselves in that sense. But when you come into energy, we'd like to invite you to really change that perspective, because it should be that whatever it is that happen, whatever it is that people say or do, that I have full control of myself and my thoughts and my emotions. And I understand better that it should not change because someone says something. Now, I understand. And throughout my journey as a participant, when I, you know, proceed from level 1, 2 to 3 and 4 and 5, and, from a participant perspective, I struggle as well. I struggle a lot with these things and, feel offended because someone says something. And then I realized that, but that doesn't do any good for my practice of love. I don't get to show that love. And even though a lot of the time I think about myself as a loving person, but then when someone says something or something happen, I don't like it, then I could behave in a way that doesn't reflect what I believe myself to be. And so I guess in that sense, these three challenges really relates to each and every one of us. It's not just about what's happening around the world. What's happening around the world, it's because each and every one of us have to deal with these challenges within ourselves, And so when the challenge starts very small, but when we have a massive amount of, number of people having to deal with the same challenges, then it creates this massive challenges for the world. And so the point is not saying, oh, so these things are happening, I'm just an individual, how can I do this, how can I do anything at all to turn this around, to contribute to world peace? Well, I guess it starts from us having the ability to regulate ourselves. And that's the things that I understand, that when we discuss about this and we're in a space where we feel like, okay, I am safe to do it and I can do it, because we're not necessarily facing any, obstacles at the present moment. But then as soon as we encounter something or someone that we don't like, or just an opinion that's different from ours, then the ways in which that we respond to those things could be, very questionable. So, and, as a participant, when I come into NLG, initially I didn't really understand this either. And I just thought, but I have the rights to, let these people know that, whatever it is that they're saying or whatever it is that they're doing, it's not right, it's not okay, it's mean. And so therefore I have the rights, or, it's only fair that I would act in a certain way, to not necessarily take revenge, but to let them know that, that's what they deserve. And then I realized that, when they being negative, that's already bad enough. That's why we have these things in our society that we are looking to fix. And yet by me participating in that, really trying to add to that conflicts, it's even further, it's worsened this situation. Like it doesn't work. And so to neutralize the situation, I guess, then you need to be the one, to do something about it first. And when I say that, what I mean is that for you to show that love, to show that respect, to show that, those moral values that we've been talking about, So that is really, really important. And as you get to the higher level of energy, you will know that you'll be required to practice it even further and further. And you will encounter people, you will encounter situations that are not very comfortable for you. And it really takes a lot of self-control for you to understand that, okay, so that person has made this situation very messy, but I'm not going to add more to that. I'm going to neutralize that with this loving energy that I've learned about. So that's why morality and the five forms of love will be the thing that would neutralize, and not only that, but help us to flourish in our life, regardless of, these three challenges that we are facing right now. And these elements, morality and the five forms of love, they are the answers to these big questions that we've been trying to tackle with. Okay. And the thing is, when it comes to introduce you to these elements, the five forms of love and morality, it is not to put any pressure on you to have to practice. Remember that it's really to do with your own understanding, and I hope that when you get to understand these things that we're presenting to you, that you learn to treasure this method and you really embrace it. You have a passion to practice it. In level 2, you will find that the formulas are very similar to that of level 1, but of course the energy frequency are upgraded. And so let's say you go from not having Wi-Fi to then connect it to Wi-Fi, or you go from 2G and then you get upgraded to 3G and then 4G. And so of course when you get to that level and when you see that everything's working more efficiently, then of course you don't want to go back down to, if you're already in 4G, you don't want to go back down to 3G. But the thing is with this energy, that there's a possibility that you, even if you like it or not, you might experience that, from going from 4G back down to 3G. And that happens when your energy connection is not, I guess, enabled properly. So by that, I mean your practice of love and morality, that you don't show it in the ways that is asked of you by this energy. And so, of course, in that case, your frequency would fluctuate and you don't necessarily connect well to this energy source. And so that's why it's so important to maintain your +1, -1 frequency as well. Now, when it comes to our brain and the ways in which we use it to connect, to direct energy, to connect to this energy, even the smartest of us, we've only used up to 10%, probably from 7 to 10%. The average person may not be up to that percentage. So our brain is very much, if you look at it, it's very much like a mini universe. Each and every one of us is like a mini universe. And there's a lot about the universe out there that we don't know, and the same thing for our brain. And yet, when it comes to energy, we need to harness that power of the brain to connect to this energy source. And that is through this beautiful frequency of the +1, -1. So that is the frequency that our brain can enable when we're in a certain state, when we're in a loving state. And when we're in that +1, -1 frequency, the cells in our body will be able to receive this energy for them to develop, for them to upgrade. And from there, they support us in things that we need. So for example, for healing support or for any other things that will introduce you to when you get to high class level. And you will experience it in your day-to-day life. So it could be that for those of you who have an illness, you would experience health transformation and improvements. And then for others of you, if you don't come in with an illness, then maybe you'll find that in the work that you do, or if you're studying, then it takes less time for you to do the same task, and it's a lot more effective than before. But of course, it only comes when you practice accurately, adequately, and consistently, that is, as we've already shared with you the importance of practicing correctly. So this is really an opportunity for you. We don't, as I've said, we don't monitor your process, sorry, your progress. And so if the opportunity comes for you to practice and you don't do it, then you're just, missing out on it. And it's not just you missing out on it, but it's also the cells in your body missing out on this energy for them to maximize their function. And of course, for your brain as well to upgrade to the frequency that it needs to be so that you can connect and you can strengthen that connections. So the +1 -1 frequency is something that you regulate by yourself. Now, as an instructor, I can activate your brain cell, I can activate your stem cell, but I cannot regulate your +1 -1 frequency for you because it relates a lot to the things that you think, the things that you do, how you treat yourself, how you treat other people. So some people, when they continue with energy classes, they find that their improvements are quite limited. And that is because they don't connect to this energy source properly. So that's why we need to understand all of the principles, how this energy operates, so that when you come in, it's not that, there's no promise, there's no guarantee that this will do, that this will brings benefits to you, because we've always said that if you put in the effort, if you put in the right effort, then you get the benefits. But it's not that you come into energy and then you automatically, are entitled to all of these benefits. There's the possibility of these benefits happening, but you need to put in the right effort. And of course, you need to meet the core of energy. And so those are some of the techniques for you to really note. Okay, so let me share my screen again. So this, the 5 forms of love. Now, after level 1 and 2, you may observe some, I guess, improvements in your social life, in the relationship that we have with other people. Because the thing is, if you learn to be a kind and friendly, caring person, and of course you keep your composure when you encounter every situation, then of course you remain unaffected by the things that are happening around you, and from there you get to improve your relationship in a much better manner. Oh, sorry about that, everyone. Okay, so let's continue. I think you can hear me nice and clear now, right? Oh, sorry. Okay, all right, we're back again. Okay, so keep in mind that as you continue with NLG, we will touch on different topics, and one of them would be that attraction of energy, laws of karma, and things like that. But we do not talk about it from a religious point of view. Of course, we'll talk about it from an energy perspective, and for you to really understand how this energy works. Of course, we are working with this energy source, and so it's very important that we know how it fully operates so that you don't come in with any surprise, or having to assume how things work. And as you get to level 2, then of course we've already in level 1 we talk about self-love, and we talk about love for family. And so in level 2, what we was set out to do is, of course, love for country. So we are now at the third forms of love. And when you get to level 3, you will be asked to fully attend to all 5 forms of love. And from there, you extend it, a lot more as you get to a high class level. Now, I guess a lot of the time, even, for a lot of participants out there, I guess it's always, well, I guess people struggle a lot more with that self-love and love for family. A lot of the time we don't really understand what it is, because self-love, because it relates to ourselves. So a lot of the time we think that we do certain things that would be beneficial for ourselves, but we then neglect the more basic thing. They are basic, but they're actually important for us. And same thing with family, because they are the people who are close to us. And so sometimes we take that for granted. It's not that we don't value, but we maybe in the way that we think about things, that's way too simple when it comes to having regards for our loved ones' perspective and feelings. And so it's really important that you really work on the first 2 form, and only when you work very well with the first 2 forms of love, that you will then have the ability to fully understand the third one, and of course the fourth and the fifth. So at level 2, you're now asked to attend to love for country, but of course we don't neglect the other 2 forms of love that we've already learned about. So the +1 -1 frequency. So when we have these love, we understand about these loves, then I guess we understand of why is it that we need to be in the +1 -1 frequency. Because talking about it, saying that you should maintain yourself in that frequency is very easy. But then when it comes to having people feeling motivated, inspired to be in that frequency, there needs to be that understanding of why is it that I need to be in that frequency. Now, a lot of the time with the things that are happening around us, we might say, what is it that I've done for me to have to deal with these challenges? And you continue to be very negative about it. You continue to be angry and resentful about it. Well, what it is that you're doing, that you're distancing yourself even further from that safe zone of the +1 -1 frequency. Because of course there's that karmic energy consequences that are not just relevant in this life, but the many lives that you have served. And so the outer space civilization, they understand it all. They oversees everything, they evaluate everything. And so there's nothing as, just like a coincidence or just like bad luck. Those things happen for a reason. And it required us to have that level of love, to understand and to accept and to work on it. So what it is that I can do now to fix these things that are happening to me, rather than, oh, so I'm not happy with my life, or I what do I do to deserve this? And then you try to direct that anger, that bitterness on other people. then what it is that you're doing is basically you're giving out that very negative credits, energy credits. And so what you will receive afterwards, the same thing. So that's why, you start with self-love, as in whatever it is that people are doing that you're not happy with, you're not going to add to that challenge. You're not going to escalate the stress. You're not going to participate in any of those things, because you have the ability then to stop yourself right there, to not add to your negative energy credits, to your bad energy credits, basically. Whereas if you continue to add to it, right, you add to the negative, you receive more of the negative. So Mr. Lee will, of course, discuss this in a lot more details, but for this foundation level, this is the things that you need to know when it comes to energy and how to attract it properly, how to stop yourself from adding to the more negative things, and in a way that also stop you from connecting to this energy source that we're interested in. All right, so let's now talk about the formulas. And I hope that you have a great experience practicing the level 1 formulas. The level 2 formulas are very similar to that of the level 1. So of course we will still have stem cell stimulation. But you can see here that basically everything is the same. But in this step 1, you will recite silently in your head, receive cosmic divine light, new era energy level 2, frequency band, stem cell stimulation frequency. So remember that in level 1, this part here, it was level 1 frequency band, but now that we're in level 2, we will say in our head, level 2 frequency band for all of the formulas that we'll be practicing. And also now that you're participating in level 2, and after you get the energy activation, you will no longer practicing your level 1 formulas, everyone. So just a heads up there. And then step 2, receive energy into the brain. Of course, visualizing energy from outer space, entering the brain here. Receive first time, second time, third time with a delay of 3 to 5 seconds in between. And then you send that energy from the brain into the ERC here. So it's the back of your neck. Send first time, second time, and third time, 3 to 5 seconds delay in between. And then step 4 is where you will devote most of your time to this last step here, continuously direct energy into the brain. So from outer space entering the brain to the ERC, and continue sending it from the ERC down the entire spine to the coccyx right here. So continuously support the energy, maintain warmth for the entire spine to stimulate stem cells until alarm rings. Now, basically, once you get to step 4, and after you recite this entire step in your head, the rest of the remaining time you will do, okay, you will do the things that step 4 instructs you to do. So in this case, it is to direct energy, right, according to this particular direction here. Practice duration, it is according to your age, of course, because stem cell stimulation frequency, it's a formula that you will practice for yourself. And please note that you keep your eyes open the entire time, direct energy accordingly. Now, some people say that I focus better when I close my eyes. But the instruction here, everyone, it's to keep your eyes open. And there are reasons as to why we instruct you to do that. And so make sure that you do just that. Don't try to modify it, because this is a practice. This is a techniques of concentration that Mr. Lei, really want for you to refine, for you to master as you go. Okay. Now, only in the case where, for example, because of a condition, let's say you have an eye-related condition that prevents you from opening your eyes, then of course, in that case, because of the medical condition, so yes, you can close your eyes, there's no problem there. But for the majority of us, of course, we will keep our eyes open, if there's no medical condition that relates to that matter. And you should certainly ask us questions via our Telegram groups, if you have any issue, or if you don't understand, something in a formula. All right, so this is self-healing, very, very similar to that of level 1. But of course, in step 1, you can see here that now we are using level 2 frequency band. But all of the steps here are very similar to that of level 1. And if you have been practicing, then you would know. And I guess we don't necessarily need to talk about this extensively anymore. So basically you just receive energy into the brain in step 2 here. And then from there in step 3, you send energy from the brain into the ERC. And then in step 4, it's very similar to level 1. And of course, step 4 is the things that you do, right? As in after you recite it in your head, then the rest of the remaining time you will spend doing the things that are instructed in this step 4 here. So step 4, continuously direct energy into the brain, so from outer space entering the brain, and continue to transmit it into the ERC. So it should go just like that, right? All the way until the alarm rings. And as the name suggests, because this is self-healing, so of course the practice duration is would be dependent of your own age group. All right, so this is direct healing here. Now remember that in level 1 we have direct healing as well, so this shouldn't be anything that's too new for you. Please note that level 2 participants are not yet ready to support people with neurological diseases, and while performing, the transmitter and the recipient keep their eyes open, maintain a state of mindfulness. And you can tell the recipient that they can visualize the alien area while you transmit energy to them. And if there are many areas, then they can just focus on the ERC. So make sure that you point out to them where the ERC is. So it's right here. And so focus on the ERC and the entire spine. Before supporting another person with serious illnesses, the transmitter must feel warmth for 5 minutes and 30 seconds during the practice of stem cell stimulation formula. Now, of course, it is not that before you assist someone that you practice that formula. You can, but what it means here is that during the entire time that you practice stem cell stimulation for yourself, let's say you have been practicing for a month, and so during that month, you should have really worked on your energy level, really worked on your stem cell stimulation formula, and you should really feel that warmth. And then if someone asks you to assist them and they have a serious illness, so then that's when you can come in and support them. Whereas if sometimes you feel warmth, sometimes you don't, and then maybe you feel warmth in parts, or sometimes you practice, sometimes you forget, then of course you should spend time to work on your own practice first. There shouldn't be any rush there. Making sure that you connect properly to this energy before you reach out to help other people. Remember that this is direct healing. It means that you need to be there physically with the person, and you need to put your hands on the person's ERC as well. You can support the person once a day, and for those with severe conditions, then you may support them twice a day. Make sure that they're 6 hours apart minimum. do not transmit energy too frequently to them, because what happened is that you really need to let the cells in the person's body to also have time to work with the energy that they just received. And the practice duration here, of course, is this will be up to the recipient's age, because you're giving healing support to them. And of course, you will start your timer, and then you go from step 1 to step 2 to step 3, and then to step 4. But then only in the case of the age group from 0 to 3 years old, because you will only practice it for 30 seconds to 1 minute, and so there's a very short amount of time. And so only for that age group that you'll be able to stop step 1 and step 2 without starting the timer. And then as you get to step 3, where you send energy from the brain of the transmitter into the recipient's ERC, that's when you will start your timer, and then you will do as instructed. Okay, just follow until the final step in the formula. Okay. So at level 2, you can start giving healing support to people outside of your family. However, of course, it's always necessary to inform people before you give them this healing support, and it's actually much better they ask you about it actively. Don't force people into doing it. It doesn't work that way. Energy doesn't work that way. It doesn't transfer, it doesn't get transmitted well when there's that, when people mentally block it out, if they are uncertain, if they actually don't want to receive it, but they say yes anyway because you're a friend, that doesn't work very well either. And that just makes them even more doubtful of what it is that you're doing, even though you want to help them. So it's better that they're totally on board with you in terms of what it is that you're doing. They understand as a recipient what it is that they need to do. And be it a friend, an acquaintance, a colleagues, etc., you always need to ask them first, inform them of the things that you would do. Talk to them about the ERC so they understand it. And it's really, really important that you'll be very open about this and let them know. And also because for direct healing, you need to place your hand on the person's ERC. And so you certainly need to receive consent for that as well. All right. So this is indirect healing frequency. Now this is new, level 1 hasn't had this, but in level 2, we have this one. So remember how you watch Mr. Lay's online every day, and he transmitting energy, even though he's in the US, but regardless of where you are around the world, you can still receive it. So that is indirect healing. So it means that you can just sit in one place and you get to transmit energy to people who are present in a different place. So step 1, receive cosmic divine light, new era NLG, level 2, frequency band, indirect healing frequency. Okay. And of course, you receive that into your brain and you recite it in your head as well. And then you receive energy into the brain of the transmitter, and because you are the transmitter, so you receive energy into your brain. Receive first time, second time, third time with a delay, of course. And then step 3, send energy from the brain of the transmitter into the recipient's ERC. And so the steps here are very similar to that of direct healing. And then step 4, the transmitter can continuously transmit energy from the brain of the transmitter into the recipient's ERC. Let the warmth of energy spreads on its own until alarm rings. All right. Now, level 2 participants are not yet ready to support patients with neurological diseases. And when performing healing on another person, both transmitter and recipient needs to maintain a state of mindfulness. And in this case, for indirect healing, the transmitter will close their eyes. So that means that you will close your eyes. And then the recipient will open their eyes. They will focus on the transmitter's forehead and visualize receiving the energy to the ailing areas. And if there are many, then just visualize receiving energy to the ERC and the entire spine. And so this is slightly different in terms of, compared to the direct healing. So make sure that you read all of the notes. We'll post these formulas on our Telegram groups, very nice and clear for you to save to your device. And so please make sure that you read all of the notes here before you use them. Now, before supporting another person with serious illness, the transmitter must feel warmth for 5 minutes and 30 seconds during the practice of stem cell stimulation. Indirect healing of level 2 participant, you can only do one-on-one support. You cannot transmit energy to a group of people. So make sure that you note that. You support one person 1 time a day. And for severe condition, you may support them twice a day, of course, with 6 hours apart minimum. Okay, so of course the practice duration is still, it still relates to the recipient's age, not your age. And there are 3 options for you when you do indirect healing. So the first one is through phone, with or without camera. So with or without FaceTime. So you can phone someone, using FaceTime. They can see you, you can see them, and then you can transmit energy to them. And of course, when that happens, you will close your eyes and the recipient will just looking at you. You instruct them how to receive energy, and then you just follow the formulas and you implement it accordingly. Or without FaceTime, without camera, you can just give them like a normal phone call and you can still transmit energy to them that way. The thing is, sometimes we find that if you do FaceTime, as in like psychologically, recipients are a little bit more comfortable with that because at least they can see you and it's sort of like having a point to focus. But then, of course, if they don't mind and they have great ability to focus and to visualize energy coming into their ERC and the entire spine or their ailing areas without looking at you, that's great as well. It still works in terms of the energy frequency, it still works and it works perfectly. But the only thing is to do with how much we can receive it, depending on how we perceive this energy works. So basically what that means is that if we're doubtful, then of course we get very little. But if we understand, we know about this energy, we understand, we believe in it, then you can, really maximize the energy transmission. And then option 2, it's through an arranged time without picture. So for example, you want to transmit energy to someone and you really can't give them phone calls, it's not just convenient. Then what you do is you arrange a time with them. So you would say, okay, so I will transmit energy to you every day at 9 a.m., for example. And so at 9 a.m., you can set your own timer, you set your alarm so that you remember that I will be transmitting energy to you. And so every day at 9 a.m., you'll start sending that energy. And the other person, knowing that you're sending it, they will receive it without having to phone each other, without to have any contact with each other at all. And so that works as well. And then option 3, it's transmitting energy through pictures. Now, through pictures, as in, for example, you are trying to assist someone, but you don't really know them. It could be like a friend of a friend. And so in that case, if you don't really know them, you can ask for a picture and you will send energy, through the picture to them. Or it's very convenient in a case where if the person's in a coma, so of course they can't really give consent then, but if their family approaches you and ask you to transmit energy, to that person, then you can ask for a picture of them and then you send energy, because if the person's in a coma, then of course you can't really talk to them. You don't really know what's going on. So it would be, more effective for you to send energy through having, a picture of them. All right. Now, some people might be wondering, how do I transmit energy to the recipient if I cannot see them? So this is from the transmitter perspective. But remember that we direct energy through thoughts, everyone. So you recite silently all of these steps, according to the formula in your head that you wish to transmit energy to this recipient. And so it works in that way. It doesn't mean that you have to look at someone in order for you to transmit energy. It may help you focus, yes, but in terms of energy transmission, a lot of the time, and that is the reason why a lot of the time when you are taking classes like this, and then we always tell you that if you have any technical issues, if we're in the middle of an energy activation and you have technical issue, you can still receive it. The point is not to panic. That's all. So maintain yourself in that calm, loving frequency. You know what's happening. You know that you perhaps have a technical issue. But if you know that I'm sitting here in real time transmitting that energy activation, then you can still receive it. But the point, of course, is to understand. And so that's why we say that understanding everything it is that, what it is that you're doing at NLG is so important. Because if you understand, you will not panic. If you understand, you will not be doubtful. And you will not hesitate when it comes to the changes that that we invite you to consider. And so those are some of the things to note. And also, everyone, when you have this ability to transmit energy to other people for good cause, it could be people in your family, and then it could be a friend or a colleague, but please do not transmit energy to someone just like randomly that you see on the news or something. Let's say you see on the news that there's an accident or something. Don't transmit energy randomly to those people, because it's not, it doesn't work like that. Don't transmit energy to them just out of sympathy, unless the person's family contacts you, they know about this energy, and they wish that you help them, that you transmit energy to them. Because consent is really important. Remember that the persons need to be on board with you. Okay? And if they can't really give that consent, then it is their family that should have the ability to, if they want to, talk to you about it. And from there, you can reach out to help them. But it's certainly not the case that you can just transmit energy randomly to people. Okay, now moving on to this formula. This is the encouraging family frequency. So you can see here, that is step 1. Once again, you recite that. And then step 2, you receive energy into the brain of the transmitter. So basically you are the transmitter because you're practicing this formula on another person. So you receive first time, second time, third time with a delay of 3 to 5 seconds in between. Step 3, send energy from the brain of the transmitter into the recipient's brain. send first time, second time, third time. And then step 4, send encouraging messages to the recipient's brain. And you keep transmitting messages continuously over and over until alarm rings. So the practice duration for this formula is 5 minutes and 30 seconds. You do it 1 time a day per person. Now, this formula, please only use it for family members on both sides of your family and those with a close and direct relationship with you. So it could be your parents, your in-laws, anyone in your family. And for people who have a close and direct relationship, it could be a coworker that you know very well, not just any coworker, but like a coworker that you know very, very well. Or someone, in that you have a relationship with as close and direct, in a very similar manner. Now, it is possible to encourage many people in one session if you're transmitting the same message. So it could be that, let's say you have 2 kids and they both very much obsessed with gaming. So what you want to do is you want to send encouraging messages for them to consider a more appropriate time when it comes to gaming. And not only that they, devoted some of their time to study, to improve their relationship with friends, to socialize with friends, to spend time with the family and work on themselves with their social skills and things like that, not just gaming, not just obsessing with gaming. Then you can transmit the energy and the messages in just 1 session to both of your children. Now, if the encouraging message is long, you can write it down and you can repeat it over a period of days. And remember that when it comes to encouraging frequency, it's not that you practice it once and then you stop practicing it. Okay, you need to practice it all the way until you see that there's changes in the person's behavior. And when you perform this formula, you can open or close your eyes because the recipients are not sitting in front of you. And as a matter of fact, you don't want to let the recipient know that you're giving out these encouraging messages, because this formula works best in the sense that, when you try to talk to someone about something and you try multiple attempts, but then it doesn't work and it always results in this really messy conversation and the persons get really upset, you get really upset. And so because you can't really talk to them with words, so that's why you're using energy to encouraging them. Okay, so that is the purpose of this formula. Now, examples of the messages that you might want to convey could be of moral qualities, love, any concerns that you want to alleviate. Could be about fairness, could be about taking care of one's health, to quit drinking, quit smoking, quit playing video games, etc., etc. So those are some of the things that you might want to convey as you use this formula. And it can only be effective if the transmitter has achieved 5 minutes and 30 seconds of warmness during stem cell stimulation practice. And also, it's really important that your messages are consistent. So don't change the message constantly, because as I've said, you should work on one message, like the same content for a while until you see that there is improvements or changes in people's behavior. And then you can stop, or you can switch to another message that you believe that the person should work on. So for example, if you want, let's say in your family and your husbands have these really unhealthy drinking habits, drink excessively, and it has to get to the point where basically the the behavior becomes a problem, right, for themselves, and you can see that it is a problem, for them. It could be for their health, could be for their temperament, and in other aspects as well, and it may actually affect the family in many different ways. And so for that, you would like to use this formula to work, to help the person to cope with that situation, and to ultimately quit those unhealthy habits. And so if one day that you see that, so after I transmit energy to them and using these formulas on them, that they quit drinking, that they don't enjoy it anymore, and not only that, that they change for the better, and they actually care about the family, they care about themselves, they adapt more healthier habits, then you can stop there. But if not, then you continue to give them that energy support. Now, certainly don't tell the person that you're using this formula on them. The point of it is, you is that you can't talk to them, right, previously, and so that's why you're using this. And so you don't need to have them sit in front of you. You can just think about them while you practice. And of course, because it's for family members and it's for people who are very close to you, so you don't need a photo of them. You already know what they look like. So you don't need for them to sit in front of you. You don't need for them to know about this. You just send this energy with all of your love. And also you need to work on yourself first, everyone. It's not that you come in and you immediately use this formula on other people. You need to make sure that you practice the core elements of NLG. You need to make sure that you practice for yourself and you feel that warmth, you feel, you experience those health improvements before you can actually dive into this formula. And also the message that you convey to them, it should be ones that are positive, that are caring. It should not be invasive. It should not be for ill intention, because the thing is, you can't even use this energy for those invasive or ill intentions, messages, because it doesn't match with the frequency of NLG. So sometimes, some people use this and then they have a massive headache. Well, that's because it could be that their practice of love and morality is not up to par, but it could also be that you think that you're conveying a really loving messages, but that you're conveying a loving message, but as a matter of fact, you're using words that are a little bit harsh and you're kind of like threatening the person or whatever. Then not only that it doesn't get transmitted to the person, but it kind of comes back to you, right? It returns to you. And so that's why you're having a headache. And so that's just a heads up for everyone. And that's also the reason why Mr. Lay often say that you cannot cheat, you cannot do negative things when you come into NLG and try to get away with it, because it always come back to you. All right. So this is the hand position here for deafness. When you assist someone with deafness, we've already showed this in level 1. So if you need to, you can go back to that video and have a look. And so basically you will be using the direct healing formula, but this is how you place your hand, on the person's ears when you assist them. And when you assist yourself, you can put your hand on your ears as well. And I've already demonstrated that in the previous level 1. So make sure that you come back if you need to and have a look. This is hand position for all vision impairments, eye-related conditions. Very simple. And this is hand position for all conditions of the nervous system of the brain. And remember that at the beginning, you put your 2 hands on either side of the brain like this, sending energy into the recipient's brain. And then after 2 weeks or a month, then you put one hand on the brain like this, and then the other hand on the person's ERC, like that. Okay. Now, for level 2 participant, you will practice the stem cell stimulation formula and the self-healing formula every day. You can practice it continuously or 1 or 2 hours apart, depends on you. And only level 2 students who have graduated from level 1 and receive activation from level 2 can practice these formulas. The remaining formulas, healing and encouraging family, can be used in case of helping others as needed. Practice requires full concentration for 5 minutes and 30 seconds. If you are distracted for more than 30 seconds, then don't count that practice. Reset the timer and start again. Choose a quiet place to practice. Keep your eyes open, but you can blink, of course. If you cough, if you sneeze, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're losing your focus. It happens. But if your mind starts to wander off somewhere else, then, for more than 30 seconds, then you should practice again. Choose a focus point or object. Avoid using fan or AC blowing directly on the body because you will not feel warmth. You will not feel that warmth of energy that we've talked about because it is distracting. And students need to practice the formulas accurately every day, keeping good moral values, the 5 forms of love, and always maintain the +1 - 1 frequency to achieve great results. Okay. And then for the stem cell stimulation formula, when you practice this formula, the entire spine feels warm continuously for 5 minutes and 30 seconds, then you only need to practice the stem cell stimulation formula once a day if you feel that warmth. But then if you don't, then you can practice for a second time and then a third time, but up to 3 times only maximum. You can do that in a row, or you can do that 1 or 2 hours apart. You should practice this formula at least 6 hours before going to bed because late practice can lead to excess energy, causing difficulty sleeping. And if you do experience that, then remember that there's that breathing techniques that I talked about, where you inhale through the nose 3 seconds, and then you exhale through your mouth 6 seconds, and you do that 3 times. And then after 5 minutes, if you still can't sleep, you do another breathing sessions to get rid of that excessive energy. And then self-healing formula. For healthy or mildly ill people, you only need to practice self-healing once a day. In case of severe disease, you practice twice a day. And all healing, whether it's self-healing or when you receive healing support from someone else, it should be spaced out 6 hours apart. And in case of emergency, fatigue, discomfort, you want to faint, etc., you just need that extra support, then you can practice self-healing right away and you don't need to wait for 6 hours. Okay, right. So now I will activate you, everyone, for the level 2 energy frequency. So basically, you will open your eyes. I will close my eyes, but you open your eyes. You look at my forehead. You visualize energy from my forehead going into yours. And then you continue to visualize energy going from, going into your forehead during the entire duration when I activate you. There's no need to direct it elsewhere. If it perhaps all of a sudden you feel it somewhere else in your body, that's okay. Like, don't try to fight it. Just let it get absorbed and let it just do its things. So this energy activation is for people who have completed level 1 fully. And for those of you, of course, who have previously completed level 2 and you're still in level 2, meaning that you haven't proceeded to a high class level, then it's okay for you to receive this as well. But any one of you who are beginners, who have not taken any class before, or those of you who are in level 3, 4, or 5, please look away. Okay. I will actually show you how this video to demonstrate. So basically, remember how you look at my forehead and then you visualize energy from my forehead going into yours, just like this, all the way until I say finish. Okay, so this is how you will receive this energy activation. All right. Okay, so let's get started, everyone. I will set my timer to 1 minute and 30 seconds. This is level 2, energy activation, of course, for level 2 participant, and for those of you who have completed level 1 fully. And it is not for people who have never done any energy classes before. It is not for those who are in level 3, 4, or 5. I will set my timer to 1 minute and 30 seconds. If you need to, you can do the same. If you have any technical issues, which we hope that you don't, but if you do, then continue to receive it. And then come back after 1 minute and 30 seconds so that we can practice the formulas together. Okay, so let's receive it now. And we'll start now, everyone. Okay, and we have completed that. Now let's practice the the stem cell stimulation formula. I will share it on the screen, and I will also play a demonstration audio for you so that you know exactly how to practice it when you practice it by yourself at home. Okay, so I will turn off this video so that it doesn't get in the way of the formula, and I will play this audio for you. Okay, so let's start, everyone. This is practice session for stem cell stimulation frequency. Timer 5 minutes and 30 seconds for participant above 18 years old. Step 1. Recite silently once. Receive cosmic divide, new era NOG, level 2 frequency band. Stem cell stimulation frequency. Step 2. Receive energy into the brain. Receive first time. Receive second time. Receive third time. Step 3. Send energy from the brain into the ERC. Send first time. Send second time. Send third time. Step 4. Continuously direct energy into the brain to the ERC and continue sending it from the ERC down the entire spine to the coccyx. Continuously support the energy, maintain the warmth for the entire spine to stimulate stem cells until alarm rings. Okay, and we have completed the practice together. So thank you everyone for participating in this class. I will show you the QR code to our Telegram groups. And so it's actually the same as the level 1 groups, because level 1 and 2, we basically combine it in the same group. So here it is for you. All right, and I will post the formulas on our Telegram group right after this class. So I think we'll wrap it up here. And if you have any question, make sure to reach out to us on Telegram. And on behalf of all participants here today, I'd like to say thank you to our NLG founder, Mr. Lay. A huge thank you for people working behind the scene tirelessly to make this program work. So enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. And we hope to hear more from you and your experiences and story and your achievement with NLG as you go. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.